So today you join us at Paddock Performance. They have featured on a couple of our videos because Mike is daft enough to actually look after some of our cars. But the reason why we're down here today is to discuss BMW.
I've heard of those.
We have heard of them. Now the reason, I don't know much about BMW personally, but every show we go to, whether it's at the drag strip, circuits, drifts, McDonald's car parks, you just see them everywhere we go.
They're quite popular.
So they're a very popular car. Now, obviously, Mike and Zack here from Paddock Performance are BMW specialists.
As you might be able to tell from behind us.
They don't just do old stuff, new stuff, performance stuff. I'm guessing fast stuff, because some of this stuff looks quite fast. And we've heard some of these, and they sound amazing. So yeah, guys, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Welcome to the channel. Eagle-eyed viewers might actually recognise Zack.
Zack has cameoed quite a few times.
He has helped us on a couple of events.
He is the cameraman slash mechanic.
Yeah, slash everything else, and Mike is the real mechanic.
So yes, on your left you'll see Zack, and on your right is the wizard himself, Mike.
Magic Mike. Oh no, that's a gay thing, isn't it? Magic Mike.
Well, that's his weekend.
That's his Friday thing. Yeah, so that's what he's doing after this.
Saturday, actually.
Saturday. Right. Okay. And yeah, so basically we're just here to discuss BMWs.
Why?
Why BMW?
Why?
So why are BMW the greatest car brand for the money? I don't really know how to word this because I already know.
You've already lit our concept.
I've already pissed people off by saying it's the greatest car brand ever for the money and the application.
So it all depends on what you're using them for. Simple as that. Daily cars, I think. I'm going to be quite, biased about it. I have them tattooed all over my arms.
And you do own quite a few.
I do, yes.
BMWs.
And yeah, no, it depends on what you're using them for. I mean, for a daily car, there is the good thing about BMW is there's quite a vast variety of different types of BMW. So they've got something for everybody, whether or not it's something that you want to use, take the kids to school, something that you want to use to tow a race car, for instance. Yeah, something you're going to take to Germany, Nürburgring, racetracks. There's quite a lot. And obviously, from years and years of experience of building not just BMWs, but quite a vast range of BMWs and VWs and Audis and Porsches and all sorts of stuff that we've done over the years. I've now decided that BMWs, in my opinion, are definitely the way I would.
And I think this is why we sort of decided to make this video, is the fact, one, you've been trying to convince me and Jonny for the past, you've just bought one, but you've tried to convince us for the past 12 months the next car BACKFIRE needs is a BMW.
Yeah.
I've ignored everything you've said.
Pretty much,
big banana and stuff.
Yes, we've bought really dumb cars, but it's like I said, it's every single event we go to, whether it's a Santa Pod at the drag strip, it's 60% BMW.
But do you not think there's a reason for that? The majority of the cars that you see at Nürburgring, it's BMW and Porsche.
Yeah. I mean, you have shown me plenty of videos. It is just E36s, E46s, E92s, M3s, F80. It's just BMWs galore.
I mean, I like both BMW and Porsche. We recently, me and the wife, have just had a Porsche Macan.
Nice.
Do the daily commute and for tow the race car.
Which is situated behind us, their version of a bright yellow
I think
car.
it's important that we point out that Mike isn't just a mechanic.
Yes, so obviously we're not just going to blow smoke up your arse because you're our friends. Mike is a professional racing driver.
Is he the fastest mechanic in the world?
In the world.
I'm not a professional race driver.
But you have won races.
I have, yes.
There's a trophy on the table. He didn't want to. He's too humble for this, and we insisted he put his trophy on the table.
You're now seeing a close-up of said trophy.
Yeah.
Look at it.
But again, like what you've just mentioned about like the ring and stuff, it's so there's a big thing in the car community at the moment about how much horsepower have you got? When cars like that one behind define or sort of go against the whole.
Yeah. See, now the problem, when I was growing up, if you had a car that was 130 horsepower, you were the boy. You had.
I think you're showing your age there a bit more.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Yeah.
You're more daily drivers. You're everyday person cars, which is where I wouldn't say BMW is the best brand out there. It's more the fact when you go to performance track.
Well, no, I disagree. Because if you look at the cars and put them like half a car, so let me try and give you a good example.
Well, like a nice 5 Series, a 530D.
Yeah.
Compared to
like an A5 Audi or something.
A6.
It depends. I mean, because I'm obviously biased. I love my BMs. I love them. I think they drive really good. I think even for a daily car. I mean, for instance, we had what did we have? an F31 diesel just for the wife a few years ago, and you know what? It did everything. It was meant. It got the B47 engine in, which apparently it got the better change. It's a little rubbish. But no, we had that, and I used to kick the shit out of it, to be honest. And, you know, you could slide it around. You could donut if you wanted to. Not that you would do that on a public road. But you know, the fact is you can use it, and you can actually, it'll put a smile on your face as well. Whereas I've seen some of the other cars, like say, if you wish to put that in again, an Audi Quattro. Like shit came up.
But hang on. You bitch about the Quattro.
Yeah,
The newer BMWs now, the X-Drive.
Well, that's another debate. Oh, don't get me started. So I'm proper old school BM. You know, I've done quite a lot with my old school BMWs. I've had E21s, I've had E36s, E46s, I've had the F80, now drive the M2. And depending on what you're using, but I mean, for instance, like for an everyday car that you want to be able to take to the track and, you know, come to work in every day and have all your mod cons and all your luxury and all that. I mean, and I've had quite a few. I don't think I can't knock the M2. I just can't. I mean, it does everything. It really does everything. You can get in it and drive to the south of France, and you know you've got the reliability, you've got the comfort, you've got the safety. You know, and you're carrying a couple of kids around. You do want to be safe. You know?
And like the other week, you can ask a friend to come round for a drink, and end up going on a 3-hour drive up the hills, scaring the living shit out of them.
We were doing 70 miles an hour.
In the corners.
In my opinion, the E36 is probably, and this is going to get some
Here we go.
Well, I think it's probably one of the greatest chassis that BMW's ever produced.
Now, remember, people at home watching, he used the words, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
I think it's quite a qualified opinion, though.
I think what he means is, I'm an expert, the E36 is the best BMW ever made.
I'm not saying that. So
I'm just trying to steer him in.
So the E36, the reason I would say it was quite a justified reasoning for why the E36, in my opinion, is the best car, and that's because it was one of the first BMWs that you can get more adjustments on the rear end. There's a lot more adjustments on the suspension geometry. Really like the shell, and the chassis is just amazing. So although the newer stuff on paper is better and probably does work better for a driving car, for something that you want to feel like you're in control of.
This is like an interesting point. So, like with these newer cars that do a lot of the things for the driver, it gives these younger drivers now a sense of, I'm a good driver.
Yeah.
I hit this gas brake and like that.
And then they get in some of the older school stuff, or even when sort of things go horribly wrong in the new sort of cars, because they're heavily reliant on the features that the manufacturers have put in the cars.
You are right, but then also you are wrong as well. And the reason for that is a lot of the stuff, like for instance, like the F series, you can turn off all the traction control.
As a driver, if you had to pick, are you picking sophisticated electronic assistance, or would you rather have full feel and control over your vehicle?
So that's a good question. This is what's getting back onto the point I was making earlier about when I went to Nürburgring in Spa. So although we actually drove that last year as well, as a race car, which was an experience in itself, because I'm old school, I can drive that, no problem. And then you realise maybe 100 miles in that this is not going to be a comfortable journey after all. So you've got duct tape, trying to duct tape little holes, and the holes is stripped out, there's nothing in it, it's totally bareback, And so I'm trying to cover the holes up with duct tape to stop fumes coming in, and opening the doors on the motorway like this, trying to flap some air in because you've got a hole this big.
You were taking the mick out of me in my old 320i.
Yes, I was.
My big blancmange of a car.
Yes.
And about 100 miles in, I'm pretty sure you would have liked to swap.
I probably would have maybe wanted to, but would have never happened.
With my air conditioning on and my heated seat.
I think what we should do is I think next year in the summer, I think we should go like somewhere really hot, film it on camera, and he has to do. I think we should do like a 2,000-mile road journey somewhere
In a race car?
in his race car.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Bro. So the point I was making is like with the M2, for instance. So the M2 is a really good car. It does all the stuff that you want it to. It brakes really well. It handles really well. It's really quite a quick car. And it, on paper it's a heavy old girl. And, you know, there's not a massive difference in power to weight than the E36.
I mean,
It
you
works
haven't done much to that. You've just obviously improved the suspension, brakes.
Yeah. No, well, no, the brakes really, I mean, I'm quite lucky with that one. I found that that's got 2 NHs on it, which, I don't know if you know, basically they're the 6-pot 400mm front brakes. I have upgraded the discs to 2-piece, and it's got a lot better braking, you know, brake pads and fluid and stuff like that. But the brakes are phenomenal.
They're very noisy, but my God, they work.
Yeah, they work, yeah.
Yeah.
But the E36, I keep going on to the E36 because you need to know why that is such a great thing and why they're so good. It's because they're so light, because they're so nimble, and they're so involving. When you drive them, they're so involving. So the point I was making is if I had the choice when I was at Nürburgring, right, if the E36 was part there and the M2 was part there, that with over 500 horsepower and that with 254 or something like that, I'd get an E36. They wouldn't even make a hesitation. It'd be straight in the E36.
Because, I mean, you have actually achieved quite an impressive time, you were saying.
Yeah, so that did I believe it was a 7-minute 48 at Nürburgring with the old engine in, which was an M52 B28. Yeah.
So what BMW do you think is BMW's GT3 RS?
The GT3 is always going to have a place in my heart. I think they're a phenomenal piece of engineering. When we went to Germany, we had a bit of a play on the Autobahn, as you do. And the mapped up M2 was literally all over them. You know, like literally, I think the M2 actually pulled slightly on both of them. And that's no exaggeration, it pulled. And all that had at the time is literally downpipes and a map. And at the point, I'd slightly detuned it because of going around the Nürburgring, because it just becomes too spiky and unusable.
But then you go to a track like Silverstone and the GT3...
Oh, absolutely, just dominate. Yeah. They have the place, that's the point. So the GT3 RS is an amazing thing.
But again, if you were going to spend 180,000 or 150,000 for a non-Visat car, it's sort of... If you spent 100 grand on that, you'd probably be able to build that to something next level unheard of, blah, blah, blah. Or do you reckon there are even... Is there limitations even to BMWs to what you can physically get out?
No, I don't believe. I mean, you know, look at how much Porsche have spent on their R&D for building the RS. You know, it's just an incredible thing, and you can't take that. But it's a different league of car. But the point I was making is like straight line power. You know, well.
What is BMW's flagship?
So that's the point. That's the point. I mean, what year? You know,
for track.
I mean, but what kind of year are you thinking? You know, because you can't put. So, in my humble opinion, the best looking holy grail of all BMWs is sat right there on the table. Anybody who says otherwise is just non-human. I mean, I like thinking back in the day when rules were like different. You could smoke a fag and drink a
let's not diminish the fact that what is sitting above us right now.
Yes, E36 GT, very rare car. Yeah, that's having quite a lot of underfloor restoration and a few other bits and bobs. So that's a really nice thing. That is.
But again, it's like
that's the 36. That's the later one to the 30.
So you buy something like that, though. You don't obviously, because being a limited edition, you don't really want to sort of upgrade it much.
That's the thing again. So do you buy a car to sit in a garage and not use it? Right, what's the point in that? I mean, I know someone not so close away from me right now whose family member has got a couple of lovely cars, and they just sit there waiting for a day that someone...
Yeah, I know someone like that.
Right, we got it.
We can cut to your answer. Start using.
He had one job.
So, Mike, to what degree does being a mechanic help you to be a driver, and to what degree does being a driver help you to be a mechanic? Or does it?
Yes, it definitely has an advantage. Definitely an advantage to have, have knowledge about, how things work, and because when something's going wrong, or if you don't feel something's quite right in the car, it's easier to identify a problem. Also, better for setting cars up. What's going to do if it's understeering? What do you do? What do you change if it's understeering? What do you change if it's oversteering? That kind of thing. I think that comes as being mechanic and racing and doing all that.
And when you mentioned earlier about these people that have these cars and don't use them to the full advantage, being the mechanic as well, you know that you can fix your own car, so you're saving thousands if something were to go wrong. Yeah,
yes and no. You say that, but I mean, all BMWs. So let's just talk about the M cars for a minute. Right. So M cars have got this bit of a stigma about being unreliable, and I can see where people get that opinion. But the problem is that all cars are unreliable. Every car. Otherwise, unfortunately, mechanics wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be fixing cars, simple as that. But I think because people see, oh, it's an M car, it shouldn't go wrong. Well, it's down to, how you maintain it, how you service it, what parts you use, who you get to do the job is the biggest one. I mean, we see all sorts of stuff that you wouldn't even imagine, and you think, bloody hell.
Yeah, but even if you spend 120 grand on a new Range Rover, things go wrong. Lamborghinis go wrong.
We have brand new Range Rovers. We've got we do a bit of work with Brittle next door, and we've had cars that have come in. And it's not that it's just the brand itself, brand new cars, you plug them in, there's a fault code,
So, obviously we have old school, new school sort of BMW, two generations of BMW enthusiasts. So, what do you think is the best engine?
So, let's go back into BMW's reliability. All BMWs have like an Achilles heel, all of them. So, regardless, just say for instance, the S50 B32. So, the S50 B32 is E36 M3 engine. They were plagued with Vanos problems, crank pulley problems. People just dealt with it and they fixed it. Then you go into the S54, again, Vanos issues, head gasket issues, rod bearing issues. They're all quite big problems, but if you maintain them and you service them properly and you do, say, for instance, rod bearings and stuff like that, then, there's not really...
Which is why there are upgrades you can do.
Of course,
even to like a non-performance sort of car.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Just to sort of maintain them.
Then you get to the E92, they were plagued for being really crap, but they're actually really not. They're actually a really good... powerhouse.
He sends it down the track. He beats the hell out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got key problems like every other, rod bearings being one, throttle actuators being the second, and injectors are a bit worse.
Yeah, but people moan about throttle actuators. And you see it on Facebook posts all the time. I want to buy an E92, but I want to make sure it's had the rod bearings done and the throttle actuators done. Well, throttle actuators, I don't see the big issue with them. Yes, they can go wrong, but it's not like the car's going to blow up because your throttle actuators have gone. It's like, are you not going to buy, I don't know, name another car, because the alternator might go. It's just stupid. Things go wrong on any car.
Especially when people start buying older cars and then realise that, this is broke. Well,
yeah.
And you can't expect an older car to be as reliable as new cars. But then again,
new cars aren't that reliable.
All the electronic issues with these new cars.
So over the period of going up, they seem to have got more issues. As simple as that. Like you said, you've got like going back to the S50, you got the more complicated issues. So the S50 had the Vanos issues, the S54 had the Vanos head gasket and rod bearing issues. Then it goes up rod bearings, throttle actuators. I'm trying to think what other issues.
What would you say is more of a problem with the modern cars? Is it mechanical issues or electronic issues?
Both. Being honest, yeah. And then that's again down to you get. See, the problem is another thing is you get a lot of young people. And this isn't like a dig at young people, old people as well. But you'll buy a car that's say accident damaged. They'll want to buy the best car that they can buy, but they can't necessarily afford the best car, so they'll get one that's accident damage that's been put together poorly with crap parts, and then they wonder why things go wrong, giving it the brand a bad name. But they don't just have those problems with new cars. You have turbos failing because of poor oil, poor quality oil.
Factory recommendations are a massive problem.
Yeah, for
oil changes like 18,000 miles sometimes, 16,000 miles.
Yeah. On a performance car.
Lifetime gearbox oil, lifetime diff oil.
Yeah.
Any oil is never going to be lifetime.
Yeah. Someone like Dave, okay, so you guys have built him a phenomenal car. He's taken it out, it's rear-wheel drive, F80, M3, it's how it puts the power down to the rear.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Again, we are going to do a review on this car.
If it's not enough now, I don't know.
And this is the point.
It's so addictive. So Dave come to us originally, and he's like, I'm gonna get this Valvetronic exhaust. I'm gonna get massive turbos. I'm gonna put EU5 injection in it. Blah 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 blah. And we've ended up building him. So this particular car now, this has got EU5 injectors out of an M5. It's got flex fuel. Obviously downpipes, Valvetronic exhaust, Mosselman turbos, different charge pipes. The list is, it's fair.
Because there's no point sort of saying like if people say right when we do the review, how much did the build cost? We can't really say that because he's done like the Valvetronic exhaust.
Yeah.
Astronomical money, but that was a personal preference. The car
exactly.
That's just so there's no point talking figures. But if sort of rounding it up, you could say between 15 and 25 sort of grand.
You can spend a lot more.
You can spend a lot more, but it's sort of.
But this is a passion. This is a hobby.
And this is
some people go to the pub every night and get absolutely leathered and literally piss the money up the wall.
But this
And
is
some
where,
people
like, if you
prefer
wanted
to have
for the
something
road,
to show for it, you know.
But if you want like a car, so you could just like the horsepower straight line sort of speed.
Yeah.
The newer cars, you can't get. Would it take a lot more money to say get something like that?
Well,
To the same
it's just to
sort
get
of
the power
speed
down.
and
So
power.
there's actually a really interesting car that's been built recently, and I'm so tempted to have a go myself. Is to S55 the E36. Now, I'd love to have a go in one of them. I mean, phenomenal power. But again, it's not usable. So if you listen to what Matt was saying earlier, is when I actually went to the ring in the M2, I actually put it down to stage 1. I hate stages, it's just a load of bollocks really. But effectively stage
Fine,
1.
stage 4.25.
Oh God, there's nothing worse. Like it's what's that done? I've got stage 3 pop and band back up. No.
Bang, man! I want to do that, man. Let me
But anyway, we reduce the power so that I can actually put the power down. Because otherwise you'll end up coming out the corner lit, and then you'll see an E36 go boom, see in a bit, because it's got all the traction and it's just it carries the speed well because you're not having to let off and this, that, and the other. So the point is you're going to get all this power and then you're not going to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Whereas the new G series, although I'm not really a four-wheel drive fanboy, the way they put the power down is absolutely ridiculous.
Because this is where it's sort of like you see, and this is where like the comparison between BMW and other brands is the M3 behind us.
Yeah.
When the G series came out, obviously like some tuning shops got their hands on it. Downpipe and a tune, 700 horsepower. As simple as that.
Yeah.
But then you see these then competing against, say, like, what would you say that competes with? The RSX?
Supercar killer.
Yes,
Yeah.
So they have to go. There's a place I can't remember. It's in Finland. Where is it? Oh, what's the bloody name now?
Oh, because the ECUs.
Yeah, so
were
the
locked.
ECU locks. So we do all the unlocking all of the ECUs for S55s and stuff like that.
So if anyone's got an S55, you can come to
we
it.
can
You
do
can
that,
just
yeah.
unlock the ECU.
Oh, so our partner, BM Passion, Tom Kedra, he is like the guru when it comes to auto electrics. And
He was that. I think that was how we first found you guys, because he was the only one to touch the hover, to figure out what the hell was up with the thing.
Yeah, a lot harder for the everyday Joe to just go and all right, you can just do an MHD. You've got to take them out. You've got to send them off to Finland. You've got to get the ECU unlocked.
What do you think's the best sounding BMW engine?
Oh, and it might.
I'm very biased, but mine.
Because this is where I'm siding with you.
So yeah, I get it. I do get it. But in my opinion, the best sounding BMW is without doubt the S62, 1.9 litre V8.
Because that's in the old M5,
That's
isn't
an
it?
E39.
We are also missing out a very special engine, the S85, the V10 out of the M5.
Oh, we did. We almost had one coming today.
It's outside, which we couldn't get it in time. But yeah, that's a phenomenal car.
But again, it's like, I think with the stock exhaust, it's quite tame.
Rake quite a lot, don't they? And it's actually
That's an unreliable car.
Well, no. Well, yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
The worst features of the car is the gearbox. The SMG gearbox they come with from factory is
It's not built.
no.
yeah, but take a manual box.
If you
I was going to say, because you can just manual swap
Well,
it.
my manual box on my car will bolt straight onto an S85.
But would that hold the power?
The different clutch.
Yeah.
What's the average temperament of your race car?
Yes, because we have seen footage of you guys pitting during a race.
And I seem to remember watching him tear most of the parts off that car.
John Cena'd the rear bumper.
Well, actually, no. Zach actually was being a bit too delicate with it. So
Mike was
Mike
getting
popped out.
frustrated. You got out of your race car to physically rip it to bits.
It sorts out that bit of bodywork on the front of the car that was dragging. They are now ripping the rear bumper off the car, and I do think we'll see him back out.
Are there better cars than that out there for track use?
Yeah, I mean, it's all down to what ultimately you want. I mean, you go to the Nürburgring and there are hundreds of E36s, hundreds of E92s, hundreds of F80s, loads of Porsches. So it all comes down to
but that's £5 a pound, so it's like, you can spend 150 grand on a Porsche, but what would it cost to build like a good track E36? Road legal, I don't
you
mean
building
that
it yourself, or you're getting someone to do it.
Could you do it for under 20?
Yeah, you could get a good E36 for under 20 grand, and you'd have all the fun.
A great base car, the 328i.
Yeah,
It's an
definitely.
amazing car. You can build the engines up. You can make plenty of power out of it.
And that's your inline six. That's
that was the engine we had in to set the Nürburgring time.
Yeah.
That engine.
Yeah, and it did that with 2 people in, actually. I reckon you'd have got less. I mean, it'd be interesting now, because I'm running an M54 B30. Well, half of it, the mix. I don't know what sort of... Yeah, I think it's got it's something really bad.
Again, not a huge BMW... I don't know.
330ci engine, so an E46 330ci engine is what it was in it now. It's just, and all it's got really is I've decked the block.
In the car scene at the moment, you do hear a lot of B58.
Yeah.
You hear that term a lot.
Yes, we have a broken one in the corner.
Yeah, because obviously people are coming to sort of just for like an engine swap. Their engine knock, engine's broken, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, for instance, that B58 over there, the corner's done 170,000 miles.
And it's shat itself.
Well, no, it hasn't. It was just that it's done that many miles. It needed to be stripped to identify what the noise was. And
but the owner was actually going on a Nürburgring trip, so he didn't want to wait for a rebuild. So
but it's not so much about waiting to rebuild. You've got to, you've got to be realistic. It's done 170,000 miles. What's it going to cost to rebuild that engine in the time frame that it has?
Nice miles. It was kicking its head in for 170,000 miles.
Well, it's the owner of Invite Only Runs Club, which we are a part of. And Jay does send the car to the moon on a regular basis.
Yeah, but that's what it's for. But then again, you people who buy M2s, M3s, say, has it ever been on track? Why would you buy an M2 and then drive it like Miss Daisy? Why would you buy an M3 and drive it like Miss Daisy?
Well, then do you not think there's also an
buy a
expectation?
320 diesel.
You buy any of these sort of M cars, second hand, expect there might be issues with them because if they're so good, why do people...
Well, here's an interesting one. If you buy a track car, someone who actually does track racing, that car has been looked after. Although it's had its flaming head kicked in, for instance, if you buy a race car, 90% of the time they don't want them to break because they're racing. So they've spent fortunes on the best suspension, the best brakes. They've had a nut and bolts, check. They've done everything that you could possibly think of because they're race cars. So it's a bit of an argument there. You could say that you buy a car that's had its head kicked in, but it's been used to have its head kicked in. 90% of the time, it's had more servicing and looking after than some guy who's bought an M2 and goes to the shops in it and takes it to BMW every 16,000 miles for a service.
I mean, if someone's going to buy a second-hand sort of M car performance, are there like specific things they need to look for?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, you really,
buying one.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely really need to,
a good history check is the best place to start on any car, not just any BMW.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, this is where like, if Bar Curtical would have sponsored us, this is where a perfect slot we could have fit them in.
So is a category M car ever worth it, really?
Right, okay, so here's one for you, right? So if I was going to build, say, an M2 race car, why would I go out and buy a race car? Non-category car like a Minter for 35 grand.
That's true.
And then with all the best spec in the world, it's got heated seats, heated steering wheel, lane assist, all that bollocks, and then take it off. And put it. What's the point? Because it's got a little kink in the front panel or something. You'd be better off to just buy one that's 20 grand that's been on Copart that's not horrific. Strip it to bits, save the money, and then put that money into buying better stuff and making it a race car. I love the E92. So the E92, I mean, a lot of people go from F80 to E92, and that is quite a thing. I've had all of them like that. So I've had an F80, pretty much Sherwood-built car. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Amazing car. Unbelievable, to be fair. And he's got all the Drexler and the Nitrons and the APs.
You went like top tier with that.
No, I actually didn't build that car. A guy called Vinny Chan built that car, and he did a lovely job. It was beautiful. It was great because it did everything. It went to the track. It perfect on the road. We did the NC 500 with me and the 2 kids, and it was great. It worked really well. And then he took it on the track, and it was absolutely phenomenal. But you can see why people go back to the rawness of an E92 because it's still got hydraulic steering, and it's probably the E92 is probably the last of the proper driver cars, if that makes sense, because then they went to electronic power steering and stuff like that. So you can understand why. You go to Nürburgring and there's still hundreds of the E92s getting their heads kicked in.
From a casual, what is it that separated the E series from the G series? What changed?
Everything.
Absolutely.
Well, yes, but here's an interesting one. So you can get most engines, like for instance, so I had an E30 and I put the S54 out of the E46 and it literally just fell in. It was designed to go in there. How's that? They kind of made it so that effectively most engines will fit in most BMWs.
We did say that a good engine platform to swap into the limousine would be the B58 because we want to build it to a drift car.
Yeah.
So why did you decide that that engine might be a good engine to use in that?
Because it's on a pallet in my way. No, so I personally, no, I'm just going to get some feathers rustled.
We like that.
So a lot of people love the B58, and I can understand why. The B58 is, has got massive potential, and there are a lot of companies out there that are making some serious power out of these
It's a more
B58s.
affordable platform.
And it's definitely more of a more affordable platform. And a lot of people say they're the new 2JZ and this and the other. I personally love the S55. I think the S55 is a great engine when they looked after and they had the maintenance and the crank hub and the rod bearings and camel arms and all the other billions of problems.
But from like an affordability stance, what's the power of like the S?
Well, you can get more. I think you get more power out of the B58.
Yeah.
Single turbo.
I mean, you're seeing like some 140s now running 700-800 horsepower without crazy modifications.
Yeah.
But then you do tend to see a lot of the cars now going big single turbos because it's all about straight line speed.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like I don't. It's not really my thing, straight line speed. I get it, and I also I'm putting turbos on that. Thanks, Dave. But that's more for just a bit of fun and.
Because that's another thing. So obviously we go to a lot of different kinds of shows because we've got different kinds of cars we want to create content. At Santapod, I've never seen an E36 at Santapod.
That's the one place we've been that doesn't have.
I don't see any of the older BMWs at Santapod.
Because
We might be wrong, we haven't been to every Santapod.
Most drag cars nowadays are going to be, especially like the G series, like because it's full
It is,
drive.
yeah, it is.
But it's
That's
going to
where
be
you see
interesting
these
to
like
see.
big single turbo.
Yeah, it's gonna be
some
interesting.
companies out there and channels out there are getting 1400 plus horsepower.
Yeah.
Some
I wonder
things
how
like
long the transfer box was going to last.
that. But again, that's another discussion. It's like, yes, you can go to crazy power, but then
Yeah.
expect to do crazy maintenance on these.
Yeah,
cars.
definitely. Anyone who says it's going back to the whole crank up thing, like goes, you're asking ridiculous amounts of power out of an engine that wasn't designed for ridiculous amounts of power.
Because like you say, I'm going to go out tomorrow. I've got to say a 50 grand budget. People
Yeah.
say the R35 GTR. It's like, okay, fine. You can get a good second-hand R35 GTR. That's fine. For a 20 grand gearbox when that shits itself, compared to say something like that.
So now there's an interesting subject. Yes, you can afford to buy the car, but can you afford to fix it?
Yeah.
So I've always been a great believer in if you can't afford to fix that thing twice, if it totally shits itself, don't buy the car.
Yeah.
Because you end up putting yourself in a financial predicament.
After the E36, because he's just going to pick the E36, are there any cars that you feel BMW made that had so much potential but were a huge disappointment, whether it was to do with the drivetrain, spent engine, they did something wrong that they could have made a holy grail car?
I think all BMWs, and this is genuinely from the heart, I think all BMWs are great cars. When you look in to compare this to other cars,
bold statement, but he's done it.
It is, but you can get into a 320 diesel and kick the shit out of it round a country lane, and it will still put a smile on your face.
I mean, we have
if you get into a 2-litre diesel Audi A5, it feels like your soul's left the building.
Because we have sort of seen.
I mean, you're going to get a lot of these die-hard Audi whatever fans.
Bring Mercedes into it. Won't you?
Do you think it's down to the ethos of BMW themselves?
Yeah, I mean, so just BMWs are good cars to drive. They are. There's a thing. You go to Darlington Park, you go to most racetracks, and you will see a big banner that says BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Where do you think they've got that from? Granted, for the 3 days of year we get in the snow, they're absolutely shit. You can't even get off an incline half a degree without
to be
the
on
thing.
semi-slick tyres and
But I mean, a day like today, there's a storm brewing. It's piddling down the rain.
Yeah, they're terrible. they're terrible.
Because you've just said there, the 3 days of snow we get, but you're forgetting about the out of the 365 days, the 364 days of rain we get a year.
Yeah. But for the 2 days of sunshine.
But then we forget about them.
So that's where
you feel.
This is where evolution comes in, going back on with it. There's loads of haters and people don't like the four-wheel drives like me, but really they will work better.
a lot of hate when they started, but look at the new M5.
It's hilarious. Don't you find that very funny? Like, everyone hates them. Look how many of them are on the road now. Look how many people love them. They're hated so much, no one's going to buy one of them. They're ugly as sin.
Backfire prediction.
Yeah.
We've just seen the new M5 for the past 6 months. It weighs the same as an elephant. It's a piece of shit.
It does weigh the same as an elephant.
Now one's gone on the dyno and it produced 700 to the wheel.
Yeah.
Stock form. Prediction here: the second tuners start getting their hands on that, and then again spend 5-10 grand on it, you might get close to 1,000. So we had a conversation with someone the other day, and they highlighted a point, and it's a valid point of even the younger generations now are starting to actually appreciate the classics. Because you see, I mean, there's multiple reasons. I know that, yes, you can pick up an older car for a lot less money than more affordable.
Hold on. That's an interesting question. Right, so
hang on. I'm not on about the rare stuff. I mean, like, if you go to like the drift scene, a BMW compact.
Well, it's not
like,
okay, so now we're going to go back onto what you said earlier. What did they do wrong? They built a BMW compact. Now, me personally, I think they make me want to be sick in my mind.
It does look like it's reversed into a wall.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I don't like it.
Strange car.
They're not, they really are.
GTs either. Not that GT, as in F-Series GT.
Oh, like a big sort of touring car.
Yeah, I mean, they're awful. They're awful. They look awful. Do you want to know the best era for cars?
90s.
80s, 90s, yeah. So if you watched...
I think the 80s cars are ugly.
Ooh, he doesn't like boxing though. He doesn't like boxing.
I mean, that's ironic.
So, Jonny, put a clip on now. I want the DTM era. Nürburgring.
Hang on, no, DTM,
no, it's the same era. You can't say. Why doesn't it count?
Because
are you
again,
insane?
this is going to infuriate some people.
DTM.
I think when you compare, say,
So, where do you think all the cars come from? Where do you think all the technology started to come from?
I'm not saying it comes from racing, but you're saying the looks.
Oh,
you can't say a DTM car's not.
And here we
it's
have
amazing.
E90. So I'm not a Mercedes fan, but here we have an E30, E30 M3 and a 190E and an old Alpha battling.
Don't forget the boxy Volvos.
Oh, the boxer. Look at that era. You know, people were smoking in the pits. Don't condone smoking. Drinking, having fun. There was pit lanes.
But it's rare to find.
You were allowed to say what you felt.
No, that's an interesting point, actually. Part of what makes a great car era, it's not just the cars, it's not the technology, it's the culture behind.
100%, definitely. DTM, in my opinion, if you watch some of the videos, and there's one I'm trying to, there's a YouTube video, I'd love to find it, and it was Tom Schilling. So there was, Tom Schilling, the Major Tom song in German, and you've got all these cars bouncing over the curves, sparking, and they used to put magnesium strips, I believe, or something on the bottom of the car, so that when you went over the curves, it was sparking, and they were on 2 wheels, and it was just amazing.
The spirit back then.
Absolutely, it was proper, people absolutely
It was like
loved
Group
it.
B rally as well. Like nothing compares to like.
Our era now sucks because like everything's got to be PC and you can't.
But even
really
F1, it's like
everything's got to be covered in.
The V10 era of F1 was its peak.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's just now we're trying to be environmentally friendly and all. It's just ruining everything.
And actually, to come full circle and to go back to the big question we wanted to ask was why BMW? I mean, we've talked about the nitty-gritty, we've talked about engine codes and maps and whatnot, but why BMW? Why do we see so many of them? Why is it still so popular? Why has it always been?
Is it just the most diverse platform?
100%, and I think it's, in my opinion, the people's car. I know this VW should be people's car, but in my opinion, for people who race, people who've got a passion for driving, what else are you going to buy? What I don't like about more modern cars is you get into it and it's literally just a flaming iPad.
But that's not to do with BMW themselves.
No, that's just technology.
Technology.
Yeah,
No,
right,
it's not even that. It's everything around them regulating them. It's safety, like you say, even down to things being PC. Everything has to be covered in bubble wrap.
I drove the other day. I drove the new G series. We was doing one of our customers. We did OPF deletes, obviously strictly for track purposes.
Of course, yes.
And I drove that car. And it's got. I think you have to turn the lane assist off every single time.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I mean that is awful. You drive down the road and you're like, it's awful.
It's
like you've got to physically turn it off.
It's the fact that you have to turn off the start.
You have to stop.
I want to turn that on if I need it, and keep it off.
And then you've got the beeping, the noises. You get. Mate, I don't care. If I sound old, I don't care. But I get into my new car and it's beep, 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 beep. What the fuck are you beeping for? It's more distracting wanting to know what all the fucking beeps are for.
If one of your passengers dares remove their seatbelt to get out of the car.
Oh my god.
I mean, that thing.
It's more distracting. I think it's more dangerous because
Before he's even pulled off on that, it's beeping instead. But you see, so we've not even moved yet.
see, no, they weren't quite as bad. So the F series, I can pull out of my drive. I can drive at least 100 metres
Without
before
hearing a
all
beep.
hell breaks loose because I've not put my belt on. And this is the thing. Here's an interesting one. The newer cars are so much easier to steal than the older cars.
That's true, yeah.
And so are we going backwards? So that had...
Well, the owner
comfort
doesn't know
access.
we've got them. Yeah.
Say it, sorry.
The owner of that doesn't even know we've got it.
There we go. Zack, get the grinder.
Sorry, Henry.
But the point
These days you can clone a key without even
Oh yeah, we'll go
physically
backwards.
touching it. Yeah.
So the first thing I did with that and was to code out the comfort access. Although it's really good because you just walk up to the car and just get in it, and you never have to watch it.
You're spending money putting something like a ghost on it, or you're disabling that feature.
So, to bring us back to the original point of the video, why BMW? Why? So I think it's the heritage, the technology, the ethos of the company.
The diversity.
The diversity, so there's a car for everything.
Yeah.
It's one of the most well-rounded car companies.
Most car you can get for the best budget.
I think so. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Either drag, track,
Yeah.
drift. There's not many other brands that has a car to do it all.
There is some pretty much it's a Swiss Army.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
There is. I think the thing you could to finalise with it is that BMW have got a car for everything.
And then let's not just forget the simple, slightly childish fact that they're just cool.
Just fun.
Do you know another thing you should actually, and also they are a very safe car as well.
There's no other brand really to do everything you need.
It's the Swiss Army knife.
It's the Swiss Army knife of the
Yeah,
car world.
you could say that,
It's
yeah.
affordable, fast enough.
They do
track,
have one
drift.
problem though. That's a well-known problem. The indicators are optional. They're an optional extra.
Do BMWs have those?
Some of them.
Okay, all right. Not standard.
Wait.
They must be standard. That's not actually isn't it?
And did you not know?
Oh, you mean? Oh, I get it. I mean, sorry, I'm not a BMW guy.
He's an American boy.
Sorry.
Going down from Mike back to me. Best BMW ever made.
This is my dream garage. E30 M3 to just look at and go, ugh, and occasionally drive. I've got the E36 race car that I can go and kick the shit out of around at any given track at any given point. And then I would have the F80 M3 purely because it's got more room. They are really stable on the road as well, and still got loads of power. And yeah, I can use it to shut the kids in.
Zach,
There you go.
your choice or choices.
The 1M,
Nice,
Okay.
good choice.
Interesting.
I'd have my car, an E92 M3, and I think I would have a G80 M3, non-estate as in the normal one.
Did you just say you're not going to have an E36?
Yeah.
I wonder if HR is okay with me firing you.
You're now fired.
You
And
are
then
now on
Bradley,
the
as a
door.
guy who's not a BMW guy,
Oh,
what
yeah.
BMW would a not BMW guy own?
G80 M3 Touring daily.
Yep.
One of yours
For a weekend car.
weekend car because I just
It has a name.
biased
Can you just
to
say
G80.
one of yours being the E92 M3? I think.
E92 M3 then. I
Okay.
have one of them.
Yeah.
Manual V8.
Yeah.
That just ticks my boxes.
Okay.
Track car.
Track car, I do trust. I've not actually ever been in an E36. If it was no budget and I says, Mike, build me the ultimate track car, I'm pretty sure it would be a phenomenal thing. Johnny,
Now, actually, yeah, I'm quite glad that I get the last piece on this, and I get to wrap the video up with what is going to be the most based comment of the video. The best BMW, without question. Forget all the cars those boys
If
just
you
said.
say the 420i, I'm not going to be happy.
It's the 420i that's sat out the front. That
with a
is-
B58 in.
it's the most phenomenal BMW. I wouldn't have any other. Definitely wouldn't have a CSL. Nothing else. It's that 420i sat outside. Yeah. Really, glad that you guys stuck around and watched this. Big thank you to Paddock Performance, who are now going to kill me off camera.
I apologise to all the Backfire fans. I will have a word with Johnny after
He
the
is now
video.
barred from paddock.
Yes.
the,
You've got another two cars though.
Actually, no, Mike's absolutely right. So, to finish off the video, the three cars, I'd have three of those 420i's.
Oh God.
There we go. So, hey, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
I
you
think
for-
we actually managed to answer the question, why BMW?
Don't get me wrong. I think as a BMW, not a fanboy yet. I'm warming up to them. Don't hate me. But it was an easy thing to say because we've been to that many variety of shows.
And just,
It's the only car that
just,
seems to
just
do
to wrap
everything.
up, the best BMW ever to be made has not been made because it's an E36 with an S54 engine done.
Maybe coming soon.
So are you going to be the first one to do that?
See you around, guys. Take care.
No, E36, S54, that's
Bye-bye.
it, you're done. There's no other car you need.
We're good. The camera's
Sorry,
We're good.
we're car guys. We have to.